Location at the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains, bringing you the unknown. Welcome to another spine-tingling episode of Paranormal 411. Your hosts are David Reagan and Jason Scott, and together, they dive headfirst into the mysteries that lurk just beyond our understanding, featuring notable experts ready to share their insights into the world of the strange and unknown. So pull up a chair, pour a cup of something warm, and prepare to be enthralled. Here at Paranormal 411, we're not just a radio show, we're a community of truth seekers, adventurers of the mind, exploring the boundaries of the known and unknown. We invite you to join us, to share your thoughts, your experiences, your questions. Whether you've had your own encounter with the supernatural or you're simply intrigued by the inexplicable, we want to hear from you. So, don't be shy. Drop a comment and let's unravel the mysteries of the universe together. Buckle up as we journey beyond the veil of the ordinary, into the heart of the extraordinary. This is Paranormal 411, where the inexplicable meets reality and imagination takes flight. Stay tuned and remember, in the world of the paranormal, nothing is as it seems.
Now, can everybody hear us? We're going to do this over.
This is going to be take 2.
Yep.
So
now, sorry, we're going to have to go through the whole spiel again for our video. So
Yep. So
we'll try to make it quick.
Yeah. So remember, you can find us at paranormal411.org, paranormal411 on Facebook, YouTube, and X. You can tune in live every Tuesday and Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturdays from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember, we will not have a show for the next 2 Saturdays. Now, if you're in the metro Atlanta area, you catch us on WDJY-FM. That's 99.1 FM. And for listeners outside of the metro Atlanta area, can they still listen, Jason?
Yes.
Oh, you can still listen to the show. And that's at WDJYFM.com, or you go to paranormal411.org. Remember, we're also on Subspace Radio and all major podcast platforms. Don't miss the new book. I beat Jason Hat. Don't miss the new book.
You're holding it up again.
East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore Edition 2. East Tennessee Hauntings and Lore Edition 2. And that is available on Amazon or at paranormal411.org. Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Also, this weekend, we are going to be at the Upper Cumberland Bigfoot Festival. If you want to come join us there, you can. We're going to have some books and some shirts and maybe a few little odds and ends.
Yeah, show them your knockers. Show them your knocker.
I don't want to show it right yet.
What?
It ain't finished.
Oh, it looks pretty. You should show it. Be proud of it.
Maybe they should just come and see it.
Hey, you know what? That'd be even better. We'd rather see you there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
And then October 25th, hopefully we're going to be back at Dead Man's Farm, and you can see us there. It's in Philadelphia, Tennessee.
We had a blast. It was fun.
Yeah, it was a great show.
And we will be the only people in a tent there. It'll be us, and we'll be set up, I think, over by where the
food trucks
are. Yeah. So
then October 26th,
see us and have food.
October 26th, we're going to be at Misfits and Mayhem in Loudon, Tennessee. Come down and see historic Loudon, Tennessee.
Yes, we walked it last year, and it was fun.
It was.
This year, they may have us in front of the mortuary.
Yes. Tonight, we got a great show. We have Mark Brown with us tonight. He's going to be talking about some of his experiences, and he brought some photos with him. We're going to just have a good old time, so I'm going to bring him on. How you doing, buddy?
How you doing, Mark?
Doing good.
Doing good. So won't you tell everybody just who Mark Brown is?
Well, that's a complex and deep story, but Locally, most people call me Farmer Brown. I'm an
Farmer Brown.
organic farmer, but I am Chiligi. I'm 5/8 federally carded Cherokee Indian with Chiricahua, Apache, and Choctaw. I have Scottish, and of course, I'm quarter Caucasian, so you can figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm a mutt like everyone.
Yeah.
But I was steeped pretty heavily in my culture, my language, and legends of my people. I've had a pretty diverse life. I've touched down in 43 countries, seen a lot of dirt, and seen a lot of people, had a lot of experiences. And some of those I can't always explain, and it's always fascinated me. And I think that I'd like to share a few of those tonight. And I think that your listeners would be entertained and maybe even get a good chuckle at me, but that's okay.
Hey, most people who listen to the show and everything, that's what they go for, right? Is things that you don't hear just everywhere. And also people you don't just see, you can't, all those big name people that you see on all these shows and stuff, they all have the same story when they go on every single podcast. It doesn't change. It's like it's scripted by then.
Mhm.
But when you have people that come in like you that have your stories and all that stuff, then they get to see things from a different lens. So
Yeah.
I think that's definitely appreciated.
Oh yeah.
Well, definitely.
So, what do you want to start with first?
That's just what I was about to say. So, yep.
I think we after our technical issue, maybe you think we should start with the tale of a local town drunk
Yeah.
of all
Yes.
things. And I know that's a weird way to start a show, but you have to understand that we're in the Appalachian Mountains and things are not always as they appear. And I had the pleasure of marrying a young lady whose father who was the town drunk. And a lot of you think, well, of course, when I met her, he was a preacher. But this is the story about how he went from the town drunk to the preacher. And it is involving the supernatural and paranormal.
Mm.
So the tale evolves around a little town called Rockwood, Tennessee. And you can look at that on the map, it's a real place. And on the back side of it, as you're going up the hill, is a little community called Black Hollow. And you think Black Hollow might have something to do with racism, but it don't. It has to do with the fact that it lays in the shadow of the Cumberland Plateau. And it casts a deep, dark shadow across the land there. Matter of fact, it gets dark in Black Hollow before it gets dark anywhere else.
Right.
It's that thick a forest up in there.
Wow.
And it's a rural area. And my father-in-law was pretty notorious. He had made the largest, him and his father was named Wendy Hill.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Wendy
Wendy
created him.
Hill.
Yeah, Wendy, that was his nickname. And of course, he liked to talk. But he created the biggest moonshine still, along with my ex-father-in-law. In the state of Tennessee, it was 3,000 gallons.
Wow.
They got busted and forced out of the state for 7 years. Well, of course, when he come back, he was still a drunk. And so he remained a drunk and hung up in the hollows. And back then, you'd ride mules around. And we're talking back in the day. And he had rode a mule up into the hollow, and he was drunk. He'd been drinking moonshine. He had a moonshine still up there hidden. And he was coming back through the hollow. And back then, you got a lot of Appalachian folks lived in small cabins, and it was a very quiet community. Nothing really of any significance comes on. You don't hear sirens. You hardly ever saw a car up in there. Nobody could afford gas. Not many people had automobiles, but anyway, he was coming back with his mule, and it threw him off, and something had spooked the mule. And he told me, and this is a story he directly told to me. Now, following the story of one person, I would be a little skeptical to believe, especially a drunk.
Right.
However, his father-in-law, who was a preacher and always had been a preacher, pastor, a very nice and reputable man, along with multiple individuals who I directly interviewed in that community, all attested to the exact same story.
Hmm.
So I'm going to relate the tale to you of the Black Devil Dog of Black Hollow.
Wow.
And it is when the mule got spooked and started to run. Well, his name was Ed. And that's not his real name, but that's what everybody called him, Ed. Of course, he's got a son still lives up in there, probably with me now. But the story is true. And so he was coming back through the Black Hollow and was drunk, fell off his mule, and something spooked the mule. And he looked back to see a large animal he described the size of a large steer, between 400 or 500-pound animal, looked like a dog on steroids, the way he quoted it, with fiery red glowing eyes. Now, being drunk, you'd kind of think, drunk's one thing and your things get fuzzy, but you don't necessarily see things that ain't quite there unless you're on something besides alcohol.
Right.
Well, mind you, folks, back in that time, that didn't exist. There wasn't no meth. There wasn't no crazy.
Right.
It was just booze. Well, he liked to drink it, and he was good at it. But he drunk a bit much that night, and he was running from this thing that he seen that scared him pretty bad. And the fellow was a boxer, and he was in good shape, muscled up fellow, worked hard-working man, always was. And he was running across yards and jumping fences, and people said he was a hollering and waving his arms and acting a fool. Well, that's what we Appalachians call it, acting a
Right.
fool. But
Yep.
that's basically, throwing a shenanigan.
Yep.
Well, he was coming across people's yards and running and jumping and climbing fences and trying to scale trees and everything else. Couldn't figure out what was wrong with this man. Had he gone crazy? Had he got a hold of some bad shine or something? No. They all claimed the same thing, that there was a big, black, dog-shaped being with red glowing eyes that was chasing him at full gallop down the road. And it ran him for 2-3 miles from the stretch that he had described it. And I've actually been to the location and seen it. And it was quite some distance, we're talking about gravel roads and
Right.
there's still rough roads up in there. It's still not paved. But, he run across and he finally got to his future father-in-law's house, who was a preacher. And he thought, boy, if anything in the world can save me, it's got to be Jesus, and it's got to be a preacher. So he runs in, begs old man for help. And you got to understand old Ira Lawson, he was a little fellow, but he was cantankerous, but he was a good man. And everybody knew he was a good man, him and his family. And he went in the house and everything died down, and they never really, they didn't peek out the rest of the evening, from best of my understanding. And this according to Ira's tale, that he told me that they didn't dare peek outside, that they knew something was out there. You could hear it pawing at the porch and breathing heavy. And so the next morning they got up, and old Ed was completely sober by the time he had gotten to their house. Now, I just told you he was drunk as a skunk when he was running down the road. Well, Ed had a come to Jesus moment, because, brother, let me tell you, he was sober by the time he got to Preacher Ira's house. Well, they got out the next morning, and they found tracks that were in the yard, and they were huge, dog-like tracks in the yard. Well, old Ed had a conversion moment. He found Jesus that night, folks, and he became a Baptist preacher, believe it or not. The town drunk converted to Christianity and became a preacher and a good and upright standing human being who was true to his word. But the tale relates the tale of multiple mountain folk who was not prone to telling tall tales. The stories of a preacher and his wife, about a location that I've actually seen, and the situations that could not be duplicated. So I do believe old Ed had a run-in with the devil dog itself, but it sure made a changed man out of him.
I mean, he obviously saw something, because to change his life like that, I mean, it's
Flipped on a coin.
Yeah.
And he'd tell you something, that old man tell you something. It was right as rain, and you could take it to the bank, because he was true to his word and a good-hearted man. And I was thankful to have him in my life for what time I did and those experiences. But, and I did write the story down.
Yeah.
And it's, there's a book out through the Etowah's Writers Guild that tells the tale, and it relates it much similar than I did there. But, it's something to behold. And so somewhere up in that Black Hollow, there's something dwelling that you better stay off the booze.
So did it walked on 2 legs?
It walked on 4.
Oh, it was
It walked on
4.
4-legged. It was the size of a steer or a cow, but he said it was definitely dog shaped and had a big head. And the way he described it looked a lot like a Rottweiler, but it scared him so bad that old man. And you got to understand this guy. You pulled a knife on this guy, you would not have scared him. He had forearms the size of some people's biceps. This is a big man.
Yeah.
This man didn't spook. He didn't scare. But something scared him that night enough that he changed his entire life.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that is.
That's interesting. But it's funny though, because that's a lot like Eddie's wife's story of that big dog that her and her dad saw that was chasing that truck when they was going down the road.
Yeah, did it walk on 2 legs?
It was running on 4, but she said it
4?
was as big as her car
That's about right.
and
the
black
scale.
with the
Wow.
red glowing eyes. And she was like, she called it
I won't see it.
she called it a dog man. But
Yeah, it would make me drop to my knees.
yeah.
I think, I'd have a conversion moment right then myself, I believe. And I raised Great Danes, so I'm used to big dogs, but something the size of what they're talking about,
Yeah.
and you know that's
Yeah.
not natural. But there's tales of it back. I drove a truck for a while on a tractor trailer. And there's tales of truck drivers running across the black dog when they become too tired or, and obviously doing wrong things at that point. So one has to wonder about the validity of some of these tales.
Mhm.
I
Right.
do believe that they're rooted in some reality
Right.
there.
Yeah. I think a lot of them are.
Yeah.
I think you get, a lot of these tales that people just straight out just, whatever. But I think that there's quite a bit of truth in them.
Yeah,
There may be some embellishment, but
right.
Yeah.
every good fish story does,
And I think that because of having something that's spectral like a dog doesn't always equate that that's the only thing that's out there. Remember, there's 11 dimensions and we live in the third dimension. So saying that, I've worked as a stint for a psych hospital here named Peninsula Behavioral Health.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, and it's a local psychiatric hospital. And I got a gig working third shift as a program counselor and basically a babysitter, make sure everybody was taken care of and behave. And I was real good at my job because I really tried to treat people with respect and understand when they had illnesses. And I can't speak to specifics because I'm not going to violate HIPAA. I'm
Right.
not foolish. But I will tell you the stories of something that I noticed in one of the darkened wings. And there was 2 of the more severe units. D unit at the time was the most severe. It was half wall. And they later built E unit while I was there. The D unit had walls that were 4 foot tall so that you could see over top of it, make sure nobody was suicidal or going to hurt themselves or harm to others. And all of our clients come in by police cruiser. So you can imagine the type we were dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And I often hated the cases where it come in and they're just so wired that they had to get what we called the elephant shot. And basically, it was a shot to calm them down, but it put them to sleep and they'd be drooling on themselves till the next morning, which worked well, if they're that out of it. But occasionally, just occasionally, out the sides of your eyes, you would see something in there. You catch movement, and it is your job. Every 15 minutes, you're up and down the hallway, making sure that each and every person in there is safe and accounted for. But occasionally, you catch movement, see somebody moving, and you would go to have a look, and you would see the shadow of a person, but no body.
Really?
A shadow person. Now, I've heard tales of it from prison guards and other people. I talked to a man that worked at Brushy Mountain. We compared notes and had a similar story.
Mm-hmm.
So these disembodied shadow people do exist. I've seen them with my own eyes. And yes, I was drinking my coffee and I was wide awake. But shadow people definitely have shown up before at historic sites and prisons, and you may know some things about that you can relate to us.
Yep.
Do you have any experiences there? Or-
I've never had a lot of experiences with shadow people. I've had them with seeing actual, actual people.
Mhm.
Because some would call it a gift or whatever they would call it, but I've been cursed for being able to see dead people my whole life. But now my wife has had a hat man actually, so not just a shadow person, but a hat man experience
Mhm.
quite a few years back, and it was your typical hat man experience. She wakes up and this shadow hat person is leaned over looking at her, and
Yeah.
she says it was pretty frightening.
A lot of people have had the experiences with a hat man
Mm-hmm.
that relate to ET activity
Yep.
or extraterrestrial. And that is where my understanding that the term men in black came from, that
Right.
they actually were first noticed as shadowed men that were wearing hats, but had more of a paranormal experience to it. So,
Well, we had Sherry Perry on one time, wasn't it, talking about the Men in Black for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty crazy things, especially in some of the Men in Black. Some of them, okay, they may be like government agents or whatever,
yeah.
but there's some of those stories like she was relating where they would be invited in and they wouldn't know how to drink out of a cup.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know how to do certain things. Remember some of those stories,
Mhm.
like eat with the silverware or anything,
Right.
like they weren't familiar with how we do things. They looked like us, but they weren't human.
Remember, a fourth dimension being can present itself as a physical entity to us,
Right.
if they choose, and that's my understanding of the physics, quantum physics of it.
Right.
And I've seen long debates about it, but that does talk a lot to the mysteries of the unknown that go back to, in Wiccan circles, they'll talk about how thin the veil is around
Yep.
Halloween.
Yep.
Well, it's that veil, it might be, talking about between the dimensions, and we are probably seeing entities that may exist even here among us that we don't see. And truly, if you believe in the Bible, I mean, you have to believe in a soul. Well, where's that soul go? It's just not going to nowhere. It's obviously going somewhere. So
Yeah.
it
I
explains it.
I definitely, they know for a fact that we're electrical beings.
Yeah.
The electricity that pulses through us.
Hmm.
And thermodynamics says energy cannot be created nor destroyed.
Correct.
It's always there.
Transform
So
forms.
so if we are electricity, then when we die, it's just the death of this shell. It's not the death of us. The same as a light bulb, right? When that electricity goes and lights that light bulb, that's not the end of that electricity.
Yeah.
It continues. It's just no longer in those wires like that light bulb.
All right.
You know.
It can a continuance.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that bears well with the soul. We know that we fire on that electrical impulse.
Right. Yep.
So it definitely goes somewhere when we pass. So,
Yep.
I like to think that that is a proof of soul. Talking about, disenfranchised spirits and things are not understandable. Jason is our tech guru here, and he's
Mhm.
got photographs that had sent from an
Yes.
ancient site on the Cumberland Plateau, lays between Crossville and Pikeville. And it's known as the Wilson Mounds because of the Wilson family, but it's also called Old Katua Mound. The Old Katua Mound is Cherokee or Chiliki. It is a very, very old site. It was partially excavated by the University of Tennessee. They had to repatriate the remains back on the same site. But it is a supernaturally charged area. Um, well, me and some friends in 2013 decided to go back and build a summer structure, a summer house on it out of river cane, which is traditional for Weechiligi. We have a powwow down there, and there was an event back during the time called Family Fun Day. It was a big carnival, and they had all kinds of rides, and it was really nice because it was right out in the middle of nowhere. You'd never expect a big carnival
Right.
just to pop up in the middle of nowhere. but it did, and it's usually a big crowd. Sometimes 10,000 people show up at this event, so it was
Wow.
rather large. And there was reenactors, historical reenactors from the Civil War forward, and we'd have a powwow there, which I like to play the drum.
Do you?
So yeah, we'd like to sing, and it wasn't the powwow stuff. No, none of that. It was ushte hagatahe ma 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 daku ha ushte hagashka. It was in our language, so
Right.
it had a real rich meaning to us.
Right.
But this site, it just really, as the day wore on, you'd be standing there and it'd be real hot during the day, and sometimes it felt like you just opened an ice box around you, and you couldn't explain it. Hairs stand up on your neck, but it wasn't until I got this little digital camera. Boy, I thought I was slick. That was my first one. Boy, I was big schooling. So I got that digital camera. It's a little old stick booger about that tall, I thought, So I'd get it and I'd take my pictures, and boy, they turned out good too. And I liked it because I put it on the computer, and I could blow it up and stuff. And I thought, well, that'd be a cool way to document this.
Mhm.
So we started documenting. The beginning pictures were pretty clear. It was just mountains and me picking river cane, cutting it off to make this structure with. And of course, we use the river cane to make arrows too. And it's where the term straight as an arrow come from. Because ain't no river cane straight. You got to get it hot until it bubbles, put a wooden block on your belly and pull it to you until you get it straight, and it will dry straight as an arrow. That's where the term come from.
Huh.
Come from Weechaligi.
That's
You get a lot
interesting.
of things from us and you just don't even realize.
Right.
But this site was pretty special because it had a lot of our traditional things there, and this big mound of rocks, and it's burial site, and a lot of indigenous buried there, a lot of Cherokee, and it was in one of our original mother towns. Now, if you know anything about the Cherokee, you've heard of the mother towns. Well, most people are unfamiliar with the term that there's 7 mother towns, Citigo being one, Tanasi another, Chota. This is another.
Right.
This is a major town for us back in the day, pre-contact.
Right.
My 8th great grandfather was Emperor Moitoi that DeSoto met in 1540. That's on my father's side.
Right.
I'm related to Principal Chief Doublehead. He's my 6th great grandfather. So we've got long Chaliki roots. And I'm proud of that. I'm very outspoken sometimes. They call me Chief Nightwolf or Magasanuewa in my language, which is different.
Mhm.
And you wouldn't expect that looking at me. You'd be like, who's this cracker? And I thought the same
Whitey.
thing. Yeah, I was born with blonde hair and blue eyes, and they said, God, where did he belong, to the milkman? But no, I guess I was just one of those things. But 1540, DeSoto's officers wrote about blonde hair, blue eyed Cherokee, and we were Iroquois that come south because we had gotten in a fight with the mother tribe, with the main body of the Iroquois,
Mhm.
for breeding with the Vikings before Columbus came. So that's true. Run it in your genetics and you'll see it in the haplogroups, which is pretty nice. But back to this site, was you able to show the pictures of this place, or?
Yeah, I
some kind
got
of
the
an idea?
one. Let me pull it up here. This is the one you walking beside something. I think it's you.
Yeah, it's got me walking beside the river cane structure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we wave them like baskets, and we had 2 types of summer. We had 2 types of houses with Cherokee. You had a summer house that was light duty, and you used it during the summer, and you direct it in places where you'd go hunting. Then you had a more permanent winter house, which is something that was, for all seasons. We was making a summer house down there as a demonstration to show how this made kind of a wigwam style, which Cherokee did not live in teepees. They'd bust your bubble, but we didn't even know what a
Nope.
teepee was.
That's Plains Indians.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
It's different culture, and I
Yeah,
much love
yeah.
to them because them things are cool. But this was ours, and I felt proud about being able to show this. Well, the pictures there probably show pretty distorted if I'm imagining the right pictures, and
You're not able to see them?
no, it's not pulling up.
See
Bear
if I
with
can
me
help
just
you.
a moment. My phone's not doing right.
Let's see if I can
Like I
help
said,
here.
they're the tech gurus. I'm still backwards hillbilly, but I'm just a hillbilly with experience.
Let's see if I can find the tubes. YouTube. Is it in Google? Oh, there it is. Yep.
Oh, there we go. There we go. If you notice in the picture, I'm
you got
wearing
it. Okay.
I'm wearing a traditional ribbons shirt and I've got a ball cap on my head. But if you look at my legs, it looks like I'm wearing buckskin leggings. Well, here's the problem. I didn't have no buckskin leggings with me that day, but it looks like I'm pretty well traditionally dressed right there. Now, the ribbon shirt was traditional, and I did that out of respect being down at the mound sites, and you want to show respect to the ancestors. So that what you see to the left is on a camera that earlier in the day had made perfectly normal pictures, and later that evening made perfectly normal, very clear, some of the best quality pictures I could have took. But you can see the distortions in the film, in the picture, and this is not a movie. This is actually just snapshot pictures.
Right.
So there's nothing that should have triggered this. There's no damage to the camera. It was well taken care of because I was tickled to death to have this thing. Hillbilly with technology. Woo-ha! I got some famous family that say, yee. Anyway, this, it's showing that buckskin. That's one thing. And then there's more pictures there. And I'll let our tech guru do all this. I'm still behind the times with it, but
Oh, this is the one.
oh, is this the creature?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get on to this one. This is the thing. Now, these rocks and stuff at this site started taking on a wavy appearance, and you could see that there was supernatural activity going on. Now, what you're about to see, and I don't want it to frighten you or give you nightmares. So, if you're that kind, you might want to look away. And I know that sounds a bit bold, but this thing is something you've never seen before.
It's interesting.
It's
It
a
is.
skinwalker. And understand that the Cherokee had skinwalkers. We just didn't call them that. They would typically be known by supernatural being names like Spearfinger or Stonecoat, both which were type of wizards among the Cherokee with supernatural abilities or beings. And our legends are full of these type of creatures.
Right.
Well, this is a skinwalker, and if you'll notice off to the far left-hand side, there's something that's there standing, and it looks like it's in a mid-transformation.
Yeah.
And that's about the best way I can put that, because it has 4 legs like an animal, like a dog or a cow or something, too skinny to be a cow,
Yeah.
built more like a big dog. But now here's the trick. It looks like there's a torso on the front of it that's attached to it. So the thing looks like it has
Then
maybe
you've got an
2,
arm.
3 arms, and
Yeah.
it's got 6 legs from the looks of
Yes.
it. But the truly part that really just kind of really spooked me, and I don't spook easy, sharks and anaconda maybe, but yeah.
You want to get that closer picture?
This thing, yeah. If you can zoom in on that thing's,
We've got another one
front.
that's even closer that you've got.
It looks like there's a skull in the middle of it, in the front of this being,
On
and
that
it
one.
does look
Can you
like
go side to
a
side with
skull.
that?
So this is a being that has 6 legs, multiple arms, and a skull for a head
That one.
based out in front of it. And now your guess about this thing is as good as mine, and that don't look like Ed's devil dog, but it's definitely something I can't explain. I would deem this as supernatural or paranormal for certain, because if you know me, I'm kind of technically backwards on some of this technology stuff. If I knew technology, I'd be dangerous. Trust me. But this thing,
This is a closer shot of it.
It's-
This is just crazy looking.
it's not a manipulation. I don't know how to use Photoshop, people. I still don't. I know how to use Microsoft Paint. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Put your name on a picture if I was lucky. But this thing showed up in the photograph. Now, I'm going to give you a little backstory. This is a stretch of woods that is cleaned and maintained by the Wilson family. There is no cattle back there. There is no dogs back there. Now, they do have cattle and they do have dogs, but the dogs are at their houses. which is nowhere close to this.
That's awful big for a
And,
dog.
oh, yeah, it's far bigger than a dog. And there's no cows or no animals there that would
Right.
explain this. I mean,
I'd like to point out this hand looking thing.
Yeah, that's definitely an arm. Excuse me.
But look how long these fingers are.
Yeah.
That's way past his knee.
Yeah.
mhm. Almost like a chimp wrestling a big dog
Yeah,
with a skull for a head.
that's crazy.
I mean, that's stuff straight up out
And it-
nightmares.
Does it not look on the sides of the, like where the skull would be on this thing right here? Those long, you got 2 long protrusions, one on each side.
Right
Yeah,
here.
like arm.
Like, no, like, yeah, right here. This and this. You see
Yeah.
that? That's almost like ponytails or something.
Uh-oh.
Like
It's a Reagan.
like if you have a Native American that he's got, a lot of times they'll wear 2 ponytails and then you have your head down.
Only one clan in the Cherokee wore long hair. It was considered girlish to wear long hair unless you were in the long hair clan.
Yeah.
Most people didn't know that. But I'm a Niawaya, which we typically had short hair and kept one little lock of scalp hair in the back. And when I shave my head traditional, I look a little scary and people kind of cross the street. So I kind of wear it like
You
this.
see that though? Isn't that weird what that is?
It's pretty weird.
I mean, it's weird altogether.
I
Your
definitely
guess is good as mine.
I definitely see a figure right here. The
Yes.
head,
And then you see a
the
shoulder and an
the
arm, and then the
the
hands.
torso, the thigh, and the leg.
Yes.
Is this coming up on the show? Can they see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
And they could
bizarre.
see him pointing it out with the pointer too.
That thing is, and anyone's guess as good as mine. And if anybody could explain it, I'd love to hear the explanation for this one. And I assure you, my camera was not doing any hard drugs that day.
Wouldn't done it any good, would it?
No, I don't think so. But bear in mind, this was taken in 2013, and all the film exposures from that day before
So
this
there's
event.
the
looked
rocks
normal.
that he was talking about.
Oh yeah, the wavy rocks.
Yeah.
Now, those rocks were just normal rocks in the middle of the woods that were insignificant other than they're flat rocks. But it looks like waves of energy radiating off of them in a ripple effect, which really is quite disconcerting because if that's spiritual energy, we've really caught proof of the supernatural, the paranormal, right there in photographs with a basic digital camera. I mean, showing the physical manifestation of a paranormal energy.
So how far from here is the burial mounds?
It would be about an hour, and it'd be less than an hour and a half from here. And,
No, I mean from the photo.
from the photo.
Yeah, from this photo that's showing right now.
It's maybe 300 feet, maybe
So
300 feet.
what you could be seeing is that very residual energy of
Or something on
Yep.
the fringes of
Right.
that. Maybe that the spirits of the ancestors are keeping this thing at bay.
Mhm.
Still a battle with the paranormal going on to this day in realms of the paranormal that we can't perceive.
Oh, now what's going on with this
Now,
photo?
in the naked eye, you can't see this.
Right.
None of this was visible to us. I thought I was just taking pictures of the pretty manicured woods.
Mhm.
You know how well they were taking care of this property. The particular photo with this being was taken because somebody was going to bring an RV down there, and I think they did. And I would have hated to see what that nighttime would have looked like for them people camping in that RV because things would have went bump in the night.
That's
That
right.
wasn't fun.
No, this photo right here, it's really blurry too
Yeah, they're
for a digital.
I have to keep refreshing my phone. I'm like I said, see, I'm so backwards on technology. It just it's funny. If it's one with the rocks with the
It's the one with 2 people next to each other.
next to people, okay.
Yeah, it's a guy and a girl. Looks like that
That's
are.
Sherry Cheyenne. She's a well-known indigenous Cherokee elder in our community and very respected lady. Does it show an orb in that photo, some of the photos shows orbs floating.
It just shows it
It's
distorted.
like it's distorted, like the
distorted,
same
right.
type of weird wavy lines.
Right. So if you're taking pictures of your friends, which I'm a big photo bug. I love my mother did the same thing back when we had that camera. You click it and it spit the picture out at you.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I like this because in today's digital world, we don't take photographs of each other and you lose memories.
Mhm.
And I kind of like looking back and reminiscing.
Right.
This was a way to memorialize my friends in the moment. So just a normal picture we took.
Right.
So for it to turn out distorted like this, it shows you what kind of energy and what kind of spiritual energy this thing's putting out on this camera. You know,
That's crazy.
I think an investigation of the site, an overnight investigation would be more. I'm pretty positive we get permission.
I'd like to set up right where that thing was seen.
Yeah, that would be cool, especially if it remanifests.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I lock myself in the Jeep after that, you're on your own.
That's all right. I'll fend for myself. I know Jason would be right behind you, probably.
And I know my Great Dane's going to run from that. You know,
I wouldn't be behind him. I'd be in front of him.
He'd be following you, huh?
there's a reason my kennel's called Doo's Danes because we raise all my dogs act like Scooby Doo.
That's funny. No, that's interesting though, because I've never seen a photo like that
I hadn't either.
anywhere.
I hadn't either.
How about you,
when,
Jason?
No.
When I pulled it up, I just thought, well, these pictures are run. Something's happened, but you know, at the beginning, all the pictures are normal, and then in the middle of the group of pictures, you know, they turn out and they get progressively worse. That's the thing.
So the pictures at the front of the thing, were they purple like that? Or?
No,
That's
completely
weird.
normal in normal color ranges and normal hues. And there's no setting on this. I still have the camera. There's no settings on this camera to allow you to make any kind of manipulations.
Mm.
It's just a very straightforward, simple stick camera.
Yeah.
But as the photographs were taken throughout the day, they progressively got worse. So just like I don't know if we were energizing these beings or they were very excited to see what we were doing, because remember, we were doing fully traditional Chaligi or Cherokee things. Remember, folks always call tribes something that we don't call ourselves.
Right.
You know, the Navajo refer to themselves as the Dene people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say Chaligi. That's Cherokee. Our phonetics are a little different, but during this day, you know, we were doing things that were fully traditional with the utmost respect. You know, because we're very superstitious people too. We don't want to offend the ancestors, and everything's done with care and love. You know, offerings were made at the mound sites, which you'll leave little things that are gifts for the ancestors, for those spirits, out of respect, like you would at a graveyard. You know, ours might be a tobacco tie or a feather or an arrowhead or something that's significant to us for that site. You know, and if you find things on them sites, I'm gonna caution y'all something. It's kind of like finding change on the tombstone of a veteran. Don't ever take that off. Don't touch it. Don't mess with it. It's not for you. Understand that's something sacred to that person's either served with that veteran or you know, it's a family member or done with a respect, or they were in their unit, or you know, a family member, like I said. So to us, to leave those items on a native burial mound or site is a sacred thing. You know, you should not. And honestly, look at the wrath you could invoke. You could bring the energy of one of these things on you, which is not good.
Yeah.
Me and my wife and the kids was out Canassie.
Uh-huh.
And you know, they got that big plaque there, the big monument, tells everything about the village and stuff. And behind it, they're set a rock was painted. Somebody had painted the rock, and my kids were trying to get in. You know, look at it. And I said, "Do not touch that rock."
Yeah, that's respect.
Yeah, somebody painted a rock and put it behind that memorial.
Yeah, if you find feathers or beads or stuff like that, that's on a site like that. That's something that's not lost. That's something that's been gifted. And something we did too is we actually had meals down there. We were on that site for about 4 days, and we'll offer what's called spirit plate. You put out a plate of food for the ancestors, for the spirits, and on this site, every single morning, those plates are empty.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying that it was paranormal, so don't get me wrong. Don't spaz on me. It might have been some kind of animal come up there, and I can't blame a raccoon come up there, and he found some good num-nums.
Right.
Trust me, I'm fat. I'd be eating too, but
Usually the plate would be gone too.
yeah, they'd take the plate or do something, but the plates would wind up empty at this place, and made us feel good
Right.
because we were doing what we were taught to do, traditionally.
Right.
And I felt that we left there in a good way because we don't believe in leaving litter or trash, and we police things really heavy to make sure everything is pristine when we leave.
Right.
But the energy in this place was definitely spurred up during that day, and I think that building that River Cane structure might have triggered this. I really do think that they were. It makes you wonder: do spirits reminisce?
Possible.
Because if that's the way things had been done in their lifetime, maybe that energized them to see something's familiar.
Well,
would it be done on that very property?
Well, think about this. You ever go to an antique store and see a Millennium Falcon, think, oh, I need that. That was Star Wars. Well, it makes you feel good because that makes you touch base with your youth, right?
That's what we in the paranormal call trigger objects.
Trigger object.
Okay, yeah. So you're better versed in all this. I'm a noob, but
that would be that would be a trigger object,
and that might be something to entertain. We go down there,
just
build
like
another.
You could play a recording of beating drums, what you would hear, and then
we had live drum.
Yeah, it would trigger.
Drums. Yeah, we were playing a big 3-foot drum that day. So yeah, definitely we'd stirred them up, and I think that captured on film was fascinating for me because that was like, I've gotten pictures of ghosts before, what I'd consider to be a ghostly apparition or something out of place, but nothing like a skinwalker.
Now, did the Cherokee have a tale of a skinwalker?
We had tales of beings that were supernatural in stature, like Spearfinger or Stonecoat. Stonecoat was more powerful than Spearfinger. Spearfinger was very feared among the Cherokee. And David, I think you know a lot about that story. You probably relate that one.
Well, I know a little bit, not really. I mean, we've actually, it's not in this book, is it?
No, but we've done a couple of shows about
we
Spearfinger.
have done some shows about Spearfingers.
3?
Huh?
That'll be episode 3 of the
maybe,
book.
maybe,
maybe. See there?
maybe, the third book. But no, Spearfinger is a pretty neat story because, you have this witch, is what we would call her today. Right. That pretty much she can't be killed, so you think, and she could kill people with what they call a spear finger, with her big long finger.
Mm-hmm.
And but she held her heart in her hand, and that's how they actually finally killed her.
Yeah.
They chased her down and killed her by stabbing her heart in her hand.
I keep thinking of that Terminator where the one has the finger, he sticks it out. And I keep thinking that might have been more along.
Yeah.
But now
I didn't even make that correlation, but that's perfect correlation.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
liquid metal Terminator. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know she sounded mean. I mean,
no.
I mean,
no, homie, don't play that. No.
But yeah, Spearfinger is a great. If anybody is interested in these kind of tales, definitely look them up and research them, because they're
the cryptids in your area.
Yeah, we do have some in the book.
You'd be surprised people would to know, what's in your own community. People, talk about different cryptids. And they're pretty familiar with the ones that are mainstream that people made a lot of.
Your Bigfoot.
But when people start talking about things like the Hodak,
yeah,
and things of this nature, that's something most people aren't familiar with. And when you hear about some kind of big, giant, demonic frog type creature,
the White Bluff Screamers that are here.
Yeah,
just some pages out of the book.
Or the Mudman of the Upper Cumberlands.
You have
you heard of that one?
The Werewolf of Dixon County.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those things are heard.
Tennessee Terror.
Those things are heard all over.
Yeah.
You know, Dogmen. I think Dogmen and Werewolf are the same thing, in my opinion.
Right.
You know, you go down to Louisiana. You know, the French would call it a
Rougarou.
loup-garou. Well, they got a perversion of it down there. They call it the rougarou.
Rougarou,
yep.
Rougarou.
Yep.
That sounds like
Ruh-roh, Reggie.
Rougarou.
Ruh-roh, Reggie.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a mystery machine at home and a Scooby Doo. So yeah, we really.
Another
like
thing about Spearfinger, it said that's pretty close.
Yeah.
She enjoys walking the trail that joins Chilhowie Mountain and the Little Tennessee River.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think when she was finally done away with, it was somewhere pretty close into this area.
Stone Cold's still around, some
Yeah.
say. You know, so makes you wonder. You know, we're just talking about two entities. We're not talking about the whole gambit. That there's
Right.
lots of different tales from different clans of the Cherokee or different regions. Remember, the Cherokee encompassed, 7 states, in a vast territory. The Cherokee National Forest today, just a small fraction of our land, is 334,000 acres.
Right.
Which I want my land back. Make it happen, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, that aside,
Cherokee and Oklahoma had done pretty good. They actually sued the state of Oklahoma because the whole state was supposed to be Cherokee land, and they kept getting moved.
Yeah. Well, they've been the people historically have been done wrong. That's why I like, yesterday being Columbus Day. I don't believe in Columbus Day. He didn't find anything.
Wasn't lost.
He wasn't lost. And Indigenous People Day, I think it should be transferred too. I think that it would be out of respect. And I could tell you the story, but I'm going to encourage you to do something, folks. Look up Columbus. See what kind of a monster that is and see if it's worth a holiday in your opinion.
I don't see how they get that this place wasn't settled.
Mm-hmm. It just wasn't.
Before Columbus.
See, but
the Anasazi had skyscrapers before Columbus was born.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that gets me is that if you really start thinking and you look into the way that they word it, they never said that it wasn't settled, but when the European came here, that's when they brought culture and they brought, this is what they say, right? And they brought another way of living, right? And so it was different than the indigenous way of life, even though they probably wouldn't have lived without the indigenous teaching them.
No, they didn't. That's the story of the first Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it's a story when they first come, it was a story between socialism and capitalism. And understanding they had a community storehouse and people didn't want to work that first season. Most everybody starved because a lot of people want to be lazy. Second season, they had individualized ones and everybody worked for their own family and they had an abundance. So the community storehouse was overflow. That's what your first Thanksgiving came from.
Right.
So those stories are important, but we looking back, I think that there's a lot of contributions, but in particular, what we're dealing with the show is talking about spiritual entities, the paranormal, and how our stories interrelate with some of the modern tales of some of these paranormal beings. Which you guys do a bang up job showing.
Thank you.
Right, the Sukaloo, for example.
I mean, everybody hears of Bigfoot. But not a lot of people know about Sukaloo.
Oh yeah,
which is a good
way to drum him up, wouldn't you think? Is using that big stick.
I think
Jason's got there to rattle on a tree.
That big.
You should
Bigfoot
see
knocker.
this, guys. You need to come to that festival and behold what he's made here. I think you're gonna like it.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, and I think he's only gonna have 3 for sale. So
yeah.
Ooh, I think he ought to take raffles.
Yeah,
because you'll want one. I promise you. When you see it, you're gonna want
Jason needs to number them 1, 2, and 3
and sign them.
And then every other one after that, is just a replica of the first 3.
And when they blow up, and the will, because all these big podcasts like this go crazy, and before too long they're on TV, and we're watching them, we're watching reruns.
Right.
Anyhow, And then when these guys blow it up big and get crazy big, that's going to be worth some serious bucks, y'all. So it's worth a raffle ticket. Come on now.
There you go. $5 a raffle ticket.
Well,
What do you think, Jason?
yeah,
Would you do a raffle?
maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He worked hard on this. You'll see it.
did.
It's way
Yeah.
above my pay grade.
He did good.
I got to tweak it a little bit and then I'll show it off.
Yeah. You should show it anyway.
No, I
Perfectionist.
can't do it.
Come on,
now.
I made what I made, and it wasn't even perfectly perfect, and I showed the world on
All right,
Facebook.
We'll just take a look at
On
this.
Facebook.
This is just I gotta tweak it now.
It looks good. I don't know where you're. Look at that
First, look at that.
Bigfoot knocker. That's why I said.
Squatch knocker.
Yeah, squatch knocker.
Made from authentic Appalachian wood. Good for misbehaving children,
That's
too.
right. Yeah. You know, if you have any of those,
We didn't say that. I didn't say that. I plead the fifth.
Back in my day, no.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we didn't get to play the break, so I'm gonna play it at the end of the show here. It's 55 minutes.
Okay.
What do you think?
Okay. Sounds good.
You want to tell them about your stuff first?
No.
Or do you want to just play the break? Hey,
The break says it all.
I want to appreciate Mark for coming on.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so
Great
much for having
stories.
me.
Thank you.
Honored to be here.
Yeah, we
You
need
guys
to
are
we need to
awesome.
do some more story time with Mark. What do you think?
That's what I'm gonna name the next one. Story time with Mark.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have Mark come tell some more good stories.
Do the werewolf howl.
There you go. I told you about the about what happened last night. I haven't
Yeah.
told Jason yet. Maybe when we go to break, I'll
Oh, you
tell
don't
him.
like that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you guys Thursday.
Thursday we've got a show, and then remember Saturday, Upper Cumberland Bigfoot Festival.
Sukaloo.
Yes,
Sukaloo.
come visit us.
Tennessee lies a pizzeria like no other. Step through the door of Legends and Lore Pizzeria and be transported to a realm where paranormal and cryptid encounters along with mouth-watering pizza go hand in hand. Meet Eddie and his crew, who serve up slices of the supernatural along with the best pies in town. With the walls adorned with eerie artifacts, indulge in piping hot slices that melt in your mouth and tease your taste buds. And it's not just the locals who love the incredible pizza. Legends and Lore has been selected as the best pizza joint in all of Monroe County. As lovers of everything pizza and the paranormal, the owners have mastered the art of crafting unforgettable combinations that will leave you wanting more. To stay connected with this mystical eatery, follow Legends and Lore Pizzeria on Facebook, where tales of their latest creations and upcoming specials will be shared. Make sure to browse their custom menu, featuring legendary pizzas like the Chupacabra Ranch and the Exorcist. So, whether you have an appetite for the supernatural or simply seek the best pizza in town, Legends and Lore is the place to be. Come for the unforgettable flavors, stay for the captivating stories, and find yourself in a world where legends and pizza collide.
What if the world we know is merely a fraction of reality? What if there are forces, entities, and phenomena that exist just beyond our comprehension in the shadows of the unknown? Welcome to Paranormal 411, your gateway to the unexplained and the downright chilling.
Get ready to rock with the electrifying sound of Catalyst, a band that's sure to leave you wanting more. With their powerful lyrics and killer riffs, Catalyst is a great sound in the world of rock music. You can listen and find Catalyst on Bandcamp, or go to the link at paranormal411.org and click on their banner.